All right, so now we are to the third section of this training, which is the secret formula. So there's 3 parts: the secret formula, authentic inviting, and the power of going viral. So let's get started.
Mother, may I share with you my super duper ultra super secret formula for network marketing wealth. Don't be confused by it being a secret just because I'm going to share it with you. This formula has made me tens of millions of friends. So does this sound familiar? Might be coming from somebody in the maybe zone. Just tell me if this sounds, if you ever heard anything like this before. I have to get a deep breath. Well, who do I talk to? And now tell me if this sounds familiar or looks familiar like you. Well, let me give you these books and these training seminars and these audio tapes and these webinars and these gurus, and this will tell you where you need to go to find prospects. And maybe you'll spend weeks or months, they'll spend weeks or months absorbing all of this wisdom, perhaps paying hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars to answer the ultimate question, well, who do I talk to? And as soon as you get that question answered, tell me if this sounds familiar. Well, what do I say to him? So then you bring out a whole new wave of seminars and gurus and trainers and events and books and tapes and months of answering the question, what do you say to him? All to only get, oh, what do I do if they say no? Got any people like that? So, we're going to solve that for you, even though any of you ever been that person? Yeah. Here's the question. If we can dovetail off what we just spent time on, the 4-year career, and one of the things I spent a fair amount of time on are the 3 core activities that we all need to participate in to build wealth in network marketing. One of them is use. One of them is, and the last one is invite. Now, just give me some grace of time to demonstrate this. But what I'm going to demonstrate later is, if you invite enough people, and I think you probably would agree with me, if you invite enough people, preferably in a halfway effective manner, will you not get some people who agree to look? And if you show enough people, whatever you show them as your presentation, will you get some people who get in? So could we surmise that like a core initial activity, if we could nail this one, we could actually build an empire, and that's the invite. What I'm going to focus on is the psychological part that has you actually step off the curb and pick up the phone and engage someone in conversation. I want you to also reflect on the chart we talked about today, the double a penny a day for 30 days. What's it worth after 30 days? What's it worth if you double it every other day? Less than $170. So focus on that. And now, here's the questions, the series of questions, the answers to which will determine whether or not you are inevitably going to become a multimillionaire in this business. So I want you to imagine a hypothetical. We're just going to call it hypothetical, but I want you to put yourself in this movie. Step into this vision, step into this movie, and just imagine yourself in this situation. And here's the situation. Your company changes the rules. You have a new comp plan as of 8 o'clock tonight. It's actually just a new bonus added onto your existing bonuses. Your company has finally figured out the value of all of us engaging in that primary core activity of inviting people, not every other day, not whenever we feel like it, but every day. If we all went out and just did one invite a day, 5, 6, 7 days a week for a year, 1,000 turn into 50,000. If we just did that one thing, you want your company to dominate the entire profession? Do that one thing. In fact, you could do nothing else that you've been doing and just do that one thing, and you would explode this. And I'm here to prove to you that you can. Here's the new bonus your company is putting into place. They're going to pay you $500 paid daily as long as you invite at least one person to look at your opportunity. Not get all the products all over them, but your opportunity, which includes the products. So it's got to be a package deal. Here's our products, here's the opportunity to become a millionaire. So the whole package. Your company is going to pay you $500. And all you have to do is invite one person a day, and all you have to invite them to do is take a look. Every day for a year. If your religion prefers you don't, we'll allow you 6 days a week. Every day for a year, $500. All you have to do is invite one. You don't have to invite two, just one. They don't have to show up for a presentation. They don't have to get in. You just have to invite them in a conversation where they can say yes, no, or maybe. So it doesn't count that you send them a Facebook message that they never replied to. That doesn't count. You have to be in some kind of a dialogue where you say enough to them that they say yes, no, or maybe. You with me? $500 for everyone. Every day, 6 days a week. You miss a day, you're terminated. By the way, it's $12,000 a month. So you earn $12,000 a month, every month, that you invite one person a day. You ever miss a day? Here's some reasons that you might miss a day. You got busy. You forgot. The kids had soccer, whatever. You were tired. You couldn't find your list. You miss a day, what? You're fired. In fact, you're terminated from this company. You can't ever get back in. You can't ever get in the game again. $500 for an invite. It's 11:45 at night, and you just realized that all day long you forgot to invite someone. You got 15 minutes to make an invite. I'd recommend calling somebody in Hawaii or Fiji. Questions. Would you agree to that deal? $12,000 a month, $500 an invite. You got to invite one person a day. Would you? So that's an answer you can put in your notes if you want. The more important question is, could you? So sit with that question. Could you perform on one invite a day, 6 days a week for a year? They don't have to say yes. They don't have to show up for a presentation. They don't have to get in. You do have to have a two-way conversation. It can be on email, can be text, can be Facebook, but you have to get a response, yes, no, or maybe. One a day, 6 days a week for a year, $12,000 a month, $500 an invite. Ever miss a day, you're fired. Second question is, could you? So on a scale of 1 to 10, put in your notes, what do you hold as the possibility, probability, inevitability that you could perform on that contract? What would you bet the odds are that a year from now you would have nailed every day? That's answering the could you question. Put your answer on a scale of 1 to 10 on your paper. So on a scale of 1 to 10, your number, probability you could perform on that agreement. For those of you that aren't sure you could perform on it, I would ask you to consider this. I would ask you to consider the possibility that it's not that you can't, it's that you don't want to. Which, I have total respect for that in the world. I don't think anybody should do this business, nor do I think they should do it at a level that makes them a multimillionaire. I just think if that's what you want, that there's an opportunity to do something about that the universe doesn't care what you want. There's an opportunity to actually, on purpose, by design, nail it, manifest it, make it happen. Not have it be a possibility, not even a probability, nail it as an inevitability. Just nail it. I mean, think about that. What if you actually could nail multimillionaire status 5 years from now? How would your life be different? How would your kids' life be different? How would your spouse's life be different? How would your parents' life be different? What could you do? Who could you be? What could you contribute? I'm not saying you should do it. I'm saying if you're one of the people who stood up and said, "Oh yeah, pick me," you can actually do something about it. For $500 a head, I'm just curious, who would you talk to? Distinction. Really powerful distinction. A lot of you probably said everyone. That's like the normal answer. I understand why you would say that. And it's because you don't have the distinction of being a powerful, in the moment, any person, any time inviter, which you will get. When you have that distinction, it's not everyone. It's anyone. And the distinction gives you a huge amount of freedom. See, if you only have to invite one person a day, would you invite everyone? Would you invite the person that waited on you in the restaurant that had a bad attitude? Well, you might, but you don't have to. I mean, you could choose not to. Would you invite your lazy brother-in-law that never does anything except naysay everything? Would you invite him? The distinction is not everyone, it's anyone. And what I want you to get a sense of is the freedom and the peace and the power that comes from being in a position to knowing that you can invite anyone and you don't have to invite everyone. Do you know how much money is spent in our profession answering the question, who do I talk to? Millions. Millions of dollars is drawn out of distributors' pockets to answer the question, who do I talk to? And for $500 a head, what's the answer? Anyone. So think about that. Does that include everybody on your list? Anyone? Does that include everybody who could be on your list but you haven't put on your list yet? Does that include everybody that your kids, the parents that your kids go to school with? Does that include everybody, the parents that your kids play sports with? Does that include everybody at work? Does that include everybody at your spouse's work? Does that include everybody in your high school class? Does that include everybody in your college class? Does that include everybody in the PTA? Does that include everybody at church? Does that include anybody that you're going to bump into that you're pretty clear is not already in once you walk out these doors tonight? Anyone. That's who you talk to, is anyone. Save you a lot of money when you're clear and motivated to talk to anyone. Second question, for $500 a head, what would you say to them? What might you say if you get $500 to ask them to take a look? Write down on your paper one line. After you said hi, what would be the first sentence that you would say to somebody to get your $500? Write it down. Okay, let me help you. It doesn't matter if they say yes, no, or maybe. They don't have to agree to see a presentation. All you have to do is ask them to take a look. You don't have to be successful. You get $500. What are you going to say to them to ask them to take a look? I'm going to tell you the answer to the question for $500 a head, what you would say to the prospect. I'm going to tell you the answer. You have no idea. Now, right now, you could say, well, I'm going to say this to him. So look at what you wrote down on a piece of paper and then apply it to, what if somebody pulled up in the parking lot out here in a $500,000 Ferrari, dressed like a pimp? They come screaming up into the parking lot. They got MLM stickers all over their Ferrari. They got a great big medallion hanging around their neck that says, you know, MLM Superman. And it's 11:45 at night, and if you don't invite them, you're fired. How does your line work on them? Doesn't fit, does it? You don't have any idea what you'd say to people because you don't know who they are, how you met them, what they do for a living, what language they speak, what they're dressed like. You don't know anything about them. Now, the better you get at on the spot, sizing people up, and so, you know, you got somebody and you want to buy a watch, and you're like, I'm going to pull this out on this person. I'm going to pull that out. The better you get at that, awesome. You can become an absolute multi-millionaire in this business and not have a clue what to say to people. So do you know how much money is spent by network marketers trying to figure out the answer to what to say? Millions. I'm here to tell you, for you to become a multimillionaire, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you say something. Hi, what's your name? I get paid $500 to talk to you. For $500 a head, this is like the most important one, because this is the one that paralyzes people. For $500 a head, what would you do if they said no? So stay with me here. My request is that you close your eyes. That's just so you're not distracted. I will close mine as your role model, and I'm going to ask you some questions. And what I want you to do when I ask you the questions is, yes, you'll answer the questions in your head, but what I want you to do is feel how you answer the question. Feel how your body feels in the answer to the question. Feel it. Feel how that feels. Feel who that person is. Feel how that person moves in the world. What do they look like? What do they sound like? How do they move? How do they move on the phone? How do they move in their car? How do they move in their office? How do they move in the grocery store? How do they move on their computer? How do they move? Who are they? How does this person feel in answer to this scenario? For $500 a person, the deal is invite one person a day, and what I want you to ask you to feel into who would you talk to? And just feel that distinction, feel the answer to the question, and just sit with it for a moment. For $500 a head, who would you talk to? Visualize it. Visualize different scenarios, but most importantly, just tap into how you would feel. Okay, open your eyes. How many of you felt peace? Raise your hand if you felt peace. How many of you felt clarity? Power? Confidence? Anybody afraid? Some people are afraid. All right, cool. So what I want you to do is that distinction, that like how I feel if I get paid $500 a person to talk to people, there's a richness in that if you can exercise that muscle, we don't ever worry about prospecting people. We don't think about it. We don't imagine somebody and then run a story in our head about what if they don't, what if this, what if that. We don't run any of that. If somebody comes to mind that we want to approach, what we usually do is run a little conversation about what would be the best approach, and then we approach them. If we encounter somebody in our life, like a waitress or a Uber driver or a limo driver or somebody in a hotel or somebody in the gym or somebody at school or somebody at sports, the thought of not talking to them because we're afraid never crosses our mind. The only thing that crosses our mind is possibility. Engagement, friend, possibility, connection. Can you get a sense of how successful you could be in this business if you could feel that way? Imagine how powerful you could be in building a business if it didn't matter if people said no. It didn't affect your physiology, it didn't affect your psychology, didn't affect you emotionally, didn't affect you physically, didn't shut you down, didn't scare you, didn't deter you. Imagine what you could build. This is the secret formula. So here's the secret formula. Works like this. One new invite a day. That's what the 1 stands for. The 2 stands for 2 presentations a week. Now, 1 invite a day is 6 invites a week. And it may stretch your level of belief to think that that could equate to 2 presentations a week. If you actually invited 1 person a day, 6 days a week, to take a look at your opportunity, and let's say you did that for 90 days. So that'd be 24 times 3 months, 75 invites, 1 at a time, day after day after day. So you compressed 75 invites into 3 calendar months. Guess what percentile that would put you in the network marketing profession for people that had ever done that in their career? 75 invites in a row, day after day after day after day after day after day after day. 75 in a row, one a day, 75 days in a row. What percentage of people in the entire profession? What is there, something like 40 million people or something? What percentage of them do you think have ever done that? Who said 5%? Not even remotely close. 1%? No. Less than 1%. 75 days in a row, invite somebody to look at the opportunity every day, 75 days in a row? Less than 1%. Here's some gold for you. You invite one person a day. You actually invite them. And you debrief the invite. Like, okay, I invited. And you ask your upline, or you just ask yourself, okay, what did I say? What was the look on their face when I said, do you want to come to my meeting? And you sort of remember they went. Just remember that. Okay, debrief. Is that the look we're looking for? No? Okay. Maybe, do you want to come to my meeting isn't the best thing to say. What could be better than, do you want to come to my meeting? Because what you're looking for is not this, but looking for that, right? So how do I get that? So the next time you invite somebody, maybe just say, do you want to come to my meeting? I mean, you're probably not going to get that, right? Do you want to come to my meeting? Somebody might say, what meeting? You know what? You're in a conversation. Somebody says, what meeting? That's like, tell me about it. You're in like Flint. You invite one person a day and just debrief. How could I do it a little better? How could I say it better? What could I have asked better? How could I have listened better? How could my posture have been better? Just debrief. Just teach yourself. It's like riding a bike. So when you got on the bike, eventually mom or dad let go of the bike, right? And if you didn't have training wheels, first few times mom or dad let go of the bike, what happened? And if you'll remember, there's this moment of distinction called balance. If you remember that, when you get somewhere right around here, and you go past it and you crash and burn, then the next time you get on the bike, and you go right about here, and you go past it, and you crash and burn, and it hurts, what you start paying attention to is somewhere in here, something happens that doesn't work. Remember that? We're actually brilliant, spiritual, worth billions. We can do this. If you can nail the distinction balance, I'm going to move my body this way. Move it. Same thing in inviting. So you invite, you pay attention, you get feedback. That didn't work. Let me try this. People that invite once a day for 75 days in a row, here's what I'm looking to tell you about that. 4 months from now, you are going to be 10 feet tall and bulletproof as an inviter. You can teach inviting anywhere, anyhow. You are better than 99% of the people that have ever walked the planet as network marketers. You're a professional, and you've only been doing it for 90 days. Where do you think you'd be after 180 days? Rockstar status. Rockstar status. And rock stars in network marketing can talk to 6 people and show at least 2 of them the presentation. In fact, some of us think we can go 6 for 6. Might take us a while. We might have to follow up. We might have to, nurture them a little bit. It's not like, you hook a fish and you jerk them out of the water. You got to romance people. You got to dance with people. You got to meet people where they are. But 2 out of 6, you can get there. You can never get to 2 out of 6 inviting whenever you feel like it. You can never get to 2 out of 6 inviting every other day. Here's what happens at once a day. After a month or two, you're so comfortable with it, you're having so much fun, you're up to 2 a day. This is the secret to building an empire. 3, if you do 2 presentations a week, how many presentations do you end up doing a month? 8. Personally sponsoring 3 business builders a month. If you do 8 presentations a month for 3 months in a row, do you know what percentile that places you in as elite network marketers that have ever done 24 presentations in a 3-month period? Do you know what percentile that places you in? 0.1%. Total walk-on water rock star status. 24 presentations. However you do a presentation, 24 of them in 3 months, you're 10 foot tall and bulletproof. You can teach presenting. Why? It's not that hard. Every one you do, you look at their face. Look at their face, look what they do with their hand. You know, does their face, like, is it like, or is it like, And then what do they do with their hand? Does their hand eventually get the pin out, and does it do that, or does it stay in their pocket? You just watch them and you get feedback. It's like balance. Did you go too far? Don't go that far. Did you go too fast? Don't go that fast next time. 24 presentations in a row. By the 4th month in the business, your worth, like a network marketing company, should pay you $100,000 just to join. Why? They have to recruit like 20,000 people just to find somebody naturally that'll do what you've done. You're that good. You're that experienced. I'm not talking about doing 24 lousy presentations in a row. I'm talking about learning from each one, honing your skills, just based on the feedback that you get, trusting your own intuition. 2 + 2. Personally sponsoring 3 business builders a month for a year gives you 36 personally sponsored business builders. That's 36 towards the effort of actually finding how many? Now your comp plan may suggest 3 or 5 or 7. But the point is, if you personally sponsor 36 business builders, you don't need all 36 of them to engage and build. How many of them do you need to engage and build with you? 3, 4, 5, something like that. Here's 2 + 2. You stay on the path of inviting 1 person a day, every day, 6 days a week. Getting your skills to the point where you do 2 presentations a week, till you enroll 3 people a month, and you do that for 2 years, or until you just can't do it anymore because your business has exploded, which is likely somewhere between month 7 and 17. I don't personally know anyone in this profession in a decent company that stayed in business that has personally sponsored 70 or 80 business builders in a 2-year period that 2 or 3 years later wasn't making $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month. I don't know anyone. I know people that have thrown people against the wall, like in some pyramid scheme or some hyped up deal that didn't last 2 or 3 years. But in a legitimate company with legitimate products where people are in love with the products, a company with staying power, an ethical company. I don't know anybody in our profession that's ever personally sponsored that many business builders that in their 4th or 5th year wasn't making 10 or 20 grand a month. I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody that ended up being that bad at inviting, presenting, enrolling, and building that they personally sponsored not enough, or they personally sponsored that many people and nothing happened. So the secret is this. You do it for up to 2 years if you have to. Probably you're not going to have to do it that long. And then what you do for the next 2 years is fan the fire. Do you know how to fan the fire? You recognize other people that are doing it. You encourage people. You keep people focused on the system, whatever your system is. Just keep fanning the fire. What you do for the next 2 years is lead and drive legs deep. And your 5th year, you're 10 grand a month or more. So if you map this formula on to what we talked about earlier with the 4-year career, can you see the connection between the two? Can you see how personally sponsoring 36 business builders a year is going to get you at least your 4? It's going to get you more than 4, but can you see at least the 4? Your 5th year, you're multimillionaire status in residual income. Now, that may take some study for you to believe it, but watch this. There's your 10 grand a month. What's 10 grand a month in residual income worth? $2 million. If you personally invited one person a day for all 2 years, and you did it just under 7 days a week, that's about 700 people you invited in 2 years. If your business is worth $2 million and you invited 700 people in order to build it, and you apply an asset value to each person you invited, what's each person worth? $2,857.14. That's what every invite is worth. And you know, those of us that are professional networkers, we don't see prospects as worth $2,800. What we see is the possibility of a story. What we see is another story, another, I got to pay off my credit cards, or another, I got to stay home with my kids, or another, I got to retire my husband, or another, I got to buy a new car, or another, I got to actually be a leader. And if you sum them all up, all of those stories up, they boil all down to one thing. One thing that, for me, I think, health and wealth and family and all of those things rolled into one, what we are looking for here on this planet is we want to matter. And professional networkers look for the possibility of creating a story where somebody gets to matter.
Love it, love it. Okay. Second one, authentic inviting.
So now I want to wrap up by teaching you an approach that makes the one a day look in your mind, feel in your mind like fun. Works like this if you got notes. There's 2 types of prospects out there in the world. There are those people that we know. I'm just going to share it with you as simple as this. If you have people on your list that you know, friends, families, co-workers, people at church, what I'm going to suggest you try on, remember this is just training for you to try on, see if it fits. This is the Bliss Business Way. Instead of you learning a script, instead of you saying something that might set them up, if you know them, how about approaching them the way you would want them to approach you? So if somebody you knew had a product or an income opportunity they wanted you to look at, what is the way they could approach you that would have you be the most open? Trust them the most. Just ask yourself, how would you want to be approached? I can tell you how I would want to be approached. If somebody I knew had a product or an income opportunity they wanted to share with me, I would want them to call me up or email me or text me and tell me what it was. tell me, I got an income opportunity, I want to show it to you. If I ask them a question, if you ask a question of somebody like, what is it? What do you want to know if you ask a question, what is it? I'll tell you what I want to know if I ask somebody, what is it? I want to know what it is. I don't want a riddle. I don't want them telling me, I'm so busy, I got to go now. I don't want them telling me, I can't do it justice on the phone. The only way I can show you is at a meeting. I want an answer. Do you want an answer? Just try it. Try being honest and authentic. Try coming from a place that who you are and what you have to offer is enough. And you don't need any gimmicks. You don't need everyone to sign up. You just need people to sign up who resonate with you, who trust you. If you know people, if you're talking to them about the product, I recommend you just call them up and say, hey, I got this product, here's what it did for you. I want to show it to you. If you got an income opportunity, I recommend you just call them up or email them and say, hey, I got this great income opportunity. Can I show it to you? And if they ask you any questions, answer them. One of the upsides of being a professional networker that way is, when it's all said and done, your personal friends, your family, are going to be more important to you than all the networkers you met in the next 20 years. And if you trash your warm market, if you trash those relationships in order to build a business, you're going to regret it. And the way you don't trash those relationships is just be straight with people. Be honest with people. Don't tell people what they should do or shouldn't do. Just tell them what you're doing and ask them if they'll take a look. And if they ask you a question, answer it. Now that's the category of people that you know. Here's the category of people that you don't know. I'm going to give you some words to describe a process to invite people you don't know. First word, curious. All great network marketers are curious. Some of them came by it professionally. Some of them just came by it naturally. They're curious. Second word, patient. All great network marketers are patient. Third word, passionate. And when I say passionate, I don't mean excited. I don't mean the level of claims that you make. I don't mean how much you say about a product. In fact, when I say passionate, it doesn't have anything at all to do with what you say. It has everything to do with who you are. So if you are on fire about what you're doing, you'll have a tendency as a unprofessional, non-professional, to run your mouth and make all kinds of claims and give people all kinds of information. That's like a rookie mistake. But what you don't ever want to lose is the fire and the passion. So as you train yourself away from dumping on people and making claims and dumping information on people, don't train away the fire, because it's actually the fire that attracts people. It's the fire that enrolls people and influences them. It's not what you say. They don't believe half of what you say anyway. It's who you are in saying it. They either believe or don't believe. And what they're believing is not the information, but they're believing the fire. They're believing the passion. So if you're on fire about your opportunity and your products, people will pick that up. And the only thing that can actually throw cold water on that fire is a whole lot of words and information that discredit you. Trust the fire. Next word is present. Present is a day-long seminar in itself. But present boils down to this. When you're in a conversation with another person, if you're human, the psychology of conversation with two humans looks like this. This human wants this human wants this human to love, listen, respect, admire, trust, agree with, recognize, acknowledge, stroke my ego. That's what this person wants. This person wants their opinions to be heard. This person wants all of their stories to be heard. This person wants to assert all of their information on this person. What do you think this person wants? The exact same thing. And this is insidious, folks. This is what it is to be an ego-based human being, which is 99.9% of us. And when two desperate egos to be heard come together, guess what it looks like? Looks like a big train wreck. So here is my secret to enrolling people in network marketing. Be present to them, not present to you. What you think, your opinion, your stories, your viewpoints, who you are, what you've done in life, your kids, your spouse, your company, your products, all of it. Do you want to build $1 million business and have fun doing it? Take all of you and set it over here. Set it right over here on the table. And be present for the other person, recognizing what do they want? They want their opinions to be heard. They want to be known. They want to be respected. They want to be loved. They want to be accepted. They want to be heard. You hear another person's spirit, you're present for another person's spirit, you instantly become one of the most fascinating people they've ever met. Quick story to anchor it. 25 years ago, editor of Psychology Today magazine does an experiment. The whole crew does an experiment. They put the editor on a flight from New York to Los Angeles. The experiment is sit next to somebody on a plane, get to know them for the whole flight, be curious, be patient. It's not an interrogation. Be curious, be patient, be present, totally present to them. Listen to them. If they ask you any questions, answer the question, but don't add to it. Editor of Psychology Today gets on the airplane, flies to Los Angeles, about a 5.5-hour flight. They get off the flight. The crew of Psychology Today goes to the seatmate and asks the seatmate, hey, what did you think about the guy that you flew out here with? You know what he said? Most interesting person I've ever met. Wait, well, that doesn't make sense yet. They said, well, what was his name? What did he do for a living? Why was he coming to LA? Where did he live? Family? Didn't know anything about him. The most interesting man he'd ever met. Now let me ask you this. All technique and knowledge and programs aside, if you were the most interesting person that your prospect had ever met, do you think you could go 2 out of 6? Deadlock cinch. So if you are curious about another person, what is the form of your conversation? Questions. If you are curious about another person, are you making statements about your product? If you're curious about another person, you're asking questions, right? And when they're done answering the questions, if you're curious about that person, what is the form of your next statement or question? Question. So it's question, listen, question, listen. So you ask, well, what is the question I ask after the first question? Whatever occurs to you to ask based on what they said. So you just follow the yellow brick road. That's the number one skill of networking. Be interested in other people. Not with an agenda to tee them up, to slam them into the business. Not with that. You could just trust the process, folks. You don't need to know what to say to people. And if you're interested in them and you actually ask them questions and you listen, and the next question you ask is based on what they just said, not based on what you want to know. Like you just follow the yellow brick road, follow where they take you. They're going to talk to you about what they're interested in. So obviously that would be the next appropriate question to ask them, is more about that, or some root off of that, not your preconceived, well, I want to find out if they keep their income options open. You know what I would do to you if you asked me if I kept my income options open? I think I might actually slap you. If you talk to people, for example, if you talk to people, let's say, one person a day for a year, how many people have you talked to? 365 people. And are all of them going to be open and ready to jump on your opportunity? No. In fact, at least 90% of them, if not 95%, it's not that they're not interested in more health and more money. It's they just can't hear you. Either that, or you pushed a shopping cart to the opportunity with all of your possessions on it, which might be your car, and said, let me show you a financial opportunity. Who you were being screamed too loud, they couldn't hear what you were saying. They're just not ready. But if you interact with them in a way that has them leave the conversation with a story in their head that sounds something like this. That was pleasant. That was interesting. That wasn't so bad. Like, open to talking to you again. Then in your second year, who do you think might be your best prospects on the planet? So what I'm going to talk to you today about is a program where, beginning your second year in the business, it's not that you would never talk to anybody you hadn't talked to before, because once you get pretty comfortable at it, you'll talk to just about anybody. But beginning year 2, if you sort of do this the way I'm going to coach you to do it, your absolute best prospects, which you could just rely on 100%, is everybody who's already told you no. So people you've already talked to, you've already told them who you are, what you do, what you're selling, what kind of business it is, they already know. So wouldn't that be cool? If everybody you talk to, they already know what you sell, they already know what kind of business it is, they already know pretty much what you want them to do, and all you get to do is just connect with them again. And what are you looking for? You're looking for, is now the time that it's a possibility for you? Is now the time that you've created in your life where there's an opening for abundance and health? Because we know foundationally that's what they want.
And the last one for this section, the power of going viral.
The number one thing that our profession is missing is real. It's just heart. It's just authenticity. It's connection. It's the truth. And you know what, folks? The truth is enough. We have the most potent wealth-building business model on the planet. And if you're in a great company like you are, you have extraordinary products that you don't ever have to be ashamed of recommending. You know, whether they work for everybody or not doesn't matter. They worked for you. They really did work for you. And they could and probably will work for anyone else that tries them. And on top of that, you have an extraordinary opportunity. Where else are the people that you're going to meet going to run into a group of people, an organization that is loaded with multimillionaires who have made their millions in a particular business model with a particular product? And the offering to the people that you're going to meet is, hey, you know what? We'll show you how to do exactly what we did. We'll coach you. You can use the exact same products and the exact same systems we use. We'll partner with you. You might invest $500 or $1,000, but in 4 or 5 years, you could be a millionaire. Who else is going to offer them that on this planet? No one. No one has what we have. And done right, with the right spirit and the right heart and the right intent, it can go viral. Things go viral when you employ compounding and geometric progressions to any great idea. You know, look at Amway. Amway has been the #1 network marketing company since the beginning of network marketing. They do $1 billion a month in business. So if you're ever wondering, like, what can you do? What could you do as a group? Well, if Amway can do $1 billion a month, what can you do? Are your products better? I mean, do your products create more passion, more powerful stories? I think they probably do. I don't think people at Amway can say the average leader produces $500, $600, $700, $800 a month in business. I think you're in a hugely unique opportunity to dominate this profession. But it's not going to happen peddling products. It's not. In fact, the competition is coming after you. And they don't only have great products. I'm not saying they're better. They don't have to be better. All they have to do is work. And they're going to create stories. And the competition that's coming after you, they are network marketers. They understand the power of wealth building and network marketing. They understand, however they explain it, they understand the essence of what I've been sharing with you. They are building empires. And if you want to stay on top of your market, you got to embrace network marketing, the wealth building, the invite to the income opportunity. You got to embrace it. You got to embrace it and build something powerful. Story, and I'm out of here. In the mid-40s, late 40s maybe, about the same time, oddly enough, that California Vitamins invented network marketing. 7 war buddies got on their Harleys and rode from the East Coast to visit a wounded warrior buddy, a vet, in Sturgis, South Dakota. 7. They had a great time hanging out in Sturgis with their buddy, and they rode back to New England, and they told their other buddies about the great time they had in Sturgis. Probably as good as being in Sturgis was the ride to Sturgis. And the next year, they went back, and guess who went with them? More buddies. I would give anything to have the yearly numbers. I'll bet there were years that 7 went, and then 13 went, and then only 3 went. And probably the year that 3 went, they probably grumbled the whole way. Maybe nobody wants to do this anymore. Maybe Sturgis is over. But they didn't quit. And all I know is in 1971, based on a picture that I've seen of the Sturgis City Park, that there were so many Harley-Davidson riders camped out in the city of Sturgis's park, that they had to close the park to the public. And they estimated that there were over 3,000 Harley-Davidson riders that invaded the town of Sturgis, population 7,000. And I saw this picture with nothing but tents covering the whole city park. 1970s. I first went to Sturgis in about 2000. The first year I went, there were over 500,000 recorded Harley-Davidson bikes visiting from out of the county. 500,000. The last year I went, which was a few years ago, over 700,000. Every year it moves between 600,000 and 700,000 bikers from all over the world. Guys and gals ship their bikes from Japan, from Australia, from Europe. They ship their bikes to the East Coast or the West Coast. Then they get on their bikes for the trek to Sturgis. All from word of mouth, all from an idea, all from somebody passionate about that idea, and the willingness to invite. You all have the opportunity to crush this profession. Crush it in a positive way. Set a positive example. You have a product line that gives you a launching pad to actually make people's dreams come true in a huge way. And all you have to do is embrace the invite. And I challenge you, just think about, gosh, if you walk away, anything that I contributed to you here this afternoon, if you would just walk away with, you know what, that guy, half the time I didn't understand what he was saying, half the time I was sleeping, half the time he's kind of crazy, half the time, whatever you thought about everything I had to say, if you could just walk out of here with enough faith and trust in what I've accomplished in this career, to for the next 75 days, invite one person a day like you got paid $500 to do it, and you got fired permanently from this company if you didn't. If you would just walk out of here with that commitment to play full out, one invite a day, 6 days a week, I will make you this promise, and you can hold me accountable. You can track me down and communicate with me. You invite one person a day for 75 days, and if it doesn't rock your world to the core in your business, you call me up and you hold me accountable, because I promise you it will. Just invite one person a day for the next 75 days, blow the lid right off your business, make you a multimillionaire 4 or 5 years from now, and then the world's your oyster. You can do whatever you want. You can go on and make more, or you can go fish, or you can raise your kids, or you can build villages. You can do whatever you want with financial freedom. You don't have to work and worry the rest of your life.